All right, y'all, let's get into it. We are going to get into the astrology for October 7, 2025. It is the day after the full moon in Aries, yet we are still in this activation, still in this energy. The moon will be ingressing tonight at midnight at 12:12 Eastern Standard Time into the sign of Taurus. But prior to that, what a day of transits that is going to be just as activating, if not maybe even a little bit more activating than what this super full moon even felt like, because we do have later on early evening the moon going conjunct Chiron. And so before we get into that, I just kind of want to share what was like some of the transits that we're experiencing. So anytime that I state you want to convert, it's going to be Eastern Standard Time, and you'll want to convert that into whatever time zone you are in. So we have Mercury in conjunct Uranus at 4:41 a.m. and this could have been maybe getting disrupted in your sleep if you were sleeping at that time, maybe getting woken up, maybe having a nightmare or some sort of like really impactful dream. This could have been that maybe an ancestor or your higher self or some sort of message comes through from one of your spirit guides or someone in your spirit team. If you were sleeping through the dream state, comes in to deliver this message. This could just, as mentioned, be a disruption to your sleep. If you were awake, perhaps you experienced some sort of an epiphany moment, and this moment, it was one of those where it's operating from a space of fairness, but it's very uncomfortable at the same time. So maybe a dose of honesty that creates a space of feeling like you're struggling with that truth, but you know it's for your highest and greatest good. It could have very much been like an energy like that. It could have been a phone call from someone near and dear to you. Whatever the case may be, Mercury is in the sign of Scorpio at this time. And with that in conjunction to Uranus, Uranus being Uranus in the sign of Gemini, and I wouldn't be surprised if this news or this energy that you're feeling puts you in a space of wanting to maybe G-check someone, or what society says, crash out. Especially because your Mercury is in the sign of Scorpio right now, and it's the natural ruler of Gemini. And so this energy is really activating a lot of subconscious triggers and shadow aspects of an individual. It's also kind of putting that like fire or hot water, right? And in the space for you to see where's your boiling points at, and what do you do with that? What do you make of that, right? Of that information. Do you take the energy and alchemize it, and in a way of transmuting this energy to convert it into something else that's going to be more beneficial to the highest and greatest good of all the collective? Or is it something that's going to be more of a detriment to yourself and to others? Whatever the case may be, that's the type of energy that is being triggered. It's like your internal satellite is giving you this information of what's moving in your waters and how is it moving. And then we had at 5:20 the moon in conjunct the south node. And so very much clearing out past life karmas, getting activated, or more messages and information pertaining to things of like a past life, or you know, with the moon in Aries and that in conjunct to the south node, this also can bring into your consciousness this like kind of warlike energy of an old story, old vengeance and vindictiveness, or whatever the case may be, that type of energy coming to realization of nothing changes if nothing changes, or kind of feeding a timeline of something from the past. Right, then we have Mercury square Pluto at 9:40 a.m. And with Mercury square Pluto, that's why I mentioned with the triggers from the Mercury in conjunct Uranus of how would you convert this energy or change this energy to be beneficial to yourself and the collective, or if it would be an energy that is going to be like a detriment to yourself and the collective. Because nonetheless, the Mercury in conjunct Uranus that happened earlier is such an activator to your subconscious realm, to stimulate both your feminine and masculine energies, to want to be provoked to do something, to make a change based on information that is coming to you. However, with the square to Pluto, Pluto is like, how about we transform this into a space where truth resides in here for your highest and greatest good, and dismantles that which is not true, that which is not serving you, because if it's not serving you, then it's not serving the collective. However, the collective may be saying this is the path that you need to go. And in your intuition, you are feeling guided to another path or another road. And it's going to be very much one of those like tug of wars of, do I do what I'm being guided to do based on what the other people are telling me, or do I do what is being guided deep within my psyche, deep within my subconscious? And depending on how mature you are in your consciousness, really can depend on how do you choose to evolve with this energy in your Phoenix rising. Do you let that which needs to be burned down, burn and dissolve, to turn into ash so that you can rise from this death into a rebirth, period, for yourself? Or do you, go into a space where you're following somebody else's lead that may be to your benefit? Or is it an unevolved, maybe this is something where you haven't put your energy into like deep maturity yet and integrated with your lights and your shadows energies, and there's like self-sabotaging tendencies and whatnot, and this is really what is coming out for you to really have to face. And again, as I mentioned yesterday, it's going to kind of announce where you are at war and odds with yourself. Also, this could also be like, how are you communicating with others that you don't necessarily agree with, right? Whenever you find yourself at a odds, disagreement, a challenge with somebody else who may seem to either be of a higher authority or challenge your authority or just make you feel less than or disempowered, how do you stand 10 toes down in your truth and your power without being disingenuous and lacking the integrity of your soul? So that's like one way that this energy, I have to get my charger. Okay, and that may be a message all on its own, right? Where is your energy levels at? Have you been over tolerating, or even what I'm hearing is like silence or quiet is acquiescing to a situation or a scenario. So while some of you may be feeling or acting as if you are neutral or not to choose certain sides or a particular thing, it's actually a call to action for you to actually either say something, and if you're not, like your silence is acquiescing or agreeing to a particular side or agenda, however that may be for you specifically. As I mentioned, when I do the astro energy for the day, it is for personal development, for you to really take this information and have it serve you for your highest and greatest good. It may or may not be pertaining to the global energy out there, although it is going to affect everyone globally because these transits are happening simultaneously for everyone. It's just going to happen differently. And so even though it's for personal developments, I put it more on like micro rather than macro. However, really getting micro is getting into your personal chart and seeing how these transits will affect you specifically, right? So even though it's still somewhat personalized on a day-to-day basis for the mundane person, it's still gonna be operating for others differently. And so that's another way that can be expressed, right, with Mercury and Scorpio, is that there may be certain news that comes in that may be good news for one person, but it may be detrimental to another person. Nonetheless, it's still news that's being delivered to the collective and activated in the collective for whatever purpose it is. So that's something to think about. Then we have at 11:58 a.m., the moon in conjunct Venus. And so this is really tapping into how much you are feeling worthy. Do you feel like this harvest moon is truly bringing you a harvest? Do you feel deserving of this harvest? There may be major changes financially for the collective. Some may be experienced like unexpected finances, money coming in, or unexpected money having to go out, essentially, but just some sort of financial shift. Then we have the moon squaring Jupiter at 120, which is pretty much right now. It's 121 as I record this. Is happening at 123. 1, 2, 3. And so the moon will still be in the sign of Aries when it's doing this square to Jupiter and Cancer, and this energy is going back to that financial aspect of things. It's really going to have people operating in a space of perhaps fear or scarcity, or feeling like there's a lack of resources or challenges to their resources, while it's also going to have certain other people operating from the blessings that Jupiter is putting out there for expansion and growth. And nonetheless, for both cases, this is for lessons to be shown. And so there's a great invitation here to connect with those that may be having maybe financial situations that they can get out of if they have certain resources, but they may not have the financial resources to pay for those resources. That can easily be like exchangeable or bartered or something like that from someone that they love, right? This could also be like mother wounds coming through and bringing some really deep enlightenment to those that maybe felt neglected, rejected, unloved, or overstimulated, overprotected from their mother. Maybe they felt like they couldn't really live their own life because they had to live the life that their mother said that they had to live, or something along the lines of the inner child having this internal struggle with the mother womb specifically. This could be grieving a mother if she transitioned. This can be I feel like truthfully it's going to be a grievance process for those dealing with the mother womb, regardless if their actual physical mother had transitioned. For us sensitives, this could also be that we are just feeling all the grief in the collective of all the women and children and innocent men that had been sacrificed, that had been hurt, destroyed in any way, shape, or form, taken advantage of, abused in this space. And it truly can cause this either sacred rage, this anger, or a fight for depression, or just like this feeling of struggle and challenge to get through this. And so this is a deep invitation to alchemize this energy, whether it be through prayer, through breath work, through, doing other forms of declarations of right, or standing up for yourself or standing up for others. This is the way that can be done. For some of you, this can be perhaps getting some sort of like spiritual coach, or going deeper into your faith and prayer to help you move through the grievance energy. So definitely a lot of energy in that realm. And then we actually have the moon conjunct at 5:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Chiron, which is also going to trigger those wounds, those parts of ourselves that, whether it's maybe it's not a mother wound, and it's a different type of wound that you've been struggling with, and it's so in your face, and it's poking at your inner child, and your inner child doesn't feel seen or heard in this space, and it's just this deep agony and this deep hurt that you feel it in your core and your soul, and you're really just trying to find solace here. This energy is going to trigger that to be activated for deep healing today. So definitely recommend like a spiritual bath, some Reiki. And then later on we have the moon ingressing into Taurus. So all this fire energy is definitely triggering you to get back into the space of connecting with the light of your grace, right? And purifying any energies that is not causing you harmony, that is disrupting the melody of your soul, essentially.